I heard that you guys are moving into a condominium. My son told me about it.
Yes, we've been considering it for a while. And we've finally made the decision to move in.
You should be grateful that my son is such a good guy. I can't help but feel that he must have worked really hard to save up enough money for those rooms. Just thinking about what he must have gone through brings tears to my eyes. It really shows that hard work pays off, and my son is finally seeing the rewards.
Absolutely, it feels like a dream come true. We've had no financial support from anyone else. Starting from a one-bedroom home in the middle of nowhere in the countryside.
Are you suggesting something here? It seems like you might be blaming me for not assisting you, and holding some resentment because of it.
No, not at all. While it's true that I envy those newlywed couples who receive help from their parents to buy a nice house, but we're just happy about the fact that you're here beside us, without any complications with your health.
Really? It took some pulling to get that out of you. But I'll take your word for it. It almost sounded like you were hinting that you want me to move in with you guys.
That's not exactly what I meant. But we'd be happy to have you visit us anytime.
Look at you, getting all flustered by what I just mentioned. Are you really that scared of the idea of me living with you? Brian is my only son, and I don't have any other children besides him. As his wife, haven't you ever thought about the day when I might have to live with you as I get older? The older I get, the more my energy diminishes. Don't you feel a sense of responsibility as my daughter-in-law, considering my struggles with aging? Honestly, I do want to come live with you guys. Receive some support for the rest of my life, witness you both being good children to me, and enjoy the presence of my grandchildren.
Shannon, you're only 65. Your health is fine right now. Do you think it's a bit early for us to discuss you moving in with us?
Your tone seems a bit condescending, don't you realize that? Do I have to be unwell or very old to live with my son? You're already hesitant to have me live with you while I'm still healthy and independent. How can I be sure you'd be willing if I became sick and unable to care for myself? Am I mistaken in my assessment? I can sense you're trying to come up with reasons not to let me live with you.
I'm not doing that. Adding another person to the family isn't easy because we haven't done it before. We moved here for a bigger house as the kids are growing up and need their own rooms. After they reached puberty, they insisted on having their own space. There are no spare rooms for you.
Stop, everyone faces similar challenges. Do you need to create excuses because you don't want me to live with you? Can't you be more open-minded about your mother-in-law wanting to live with you? I don't understand why you're so critical of my wishes. Is it wrong for a mother to want to live with her son in his home? How disrespectful. I wonder if people of your generation all learn to disrespect their elders. They lack respect, and it's a shame.
I'm trying to explain the situation and why it's challenging for you to move in. But if you're going to dismiss what I say, what can I do? You're insulting me, portraying me as someone who doesn't care about people in need. This is not just your son's house. It's also his wife's and the children's. I'll discuss it with Brian and the kids to see what they think. I'll text you later.
Ensure you raise those children well and teach them manners and morals. You may think you'll stay young forever, but sooner or later, you'll become an old grandma. Be responsible in raising my grandchildren and keep a watchful eye on them. Do you understand?
I'm just an ordinary woman who's been married for the past 20 years. My husband and I have 2 kids, one in high school and the other in middle school. When I first got married, I used to be afraid of my mother-in-law. She was always like a tiger, fierce and stubborn. I couldn't even make eye contact with her back then. During important holidays like Thanksgiving, I would have my firstborn in my arms and the other on my back, preparing food and getting ready for the holidays. I did the same for Shannon's birthdays too. Not only that, but she would often expect me to show up twice every single week to help her clean the house, cook, and do the laundry. There were many days when she would even make me hand wash the laundry, including her underwear. At the time, I thought that was just what everyone did. And I felt bad that Shannon had to be widowed at a fairly young age. Because my father-in-law passed away early in our marriage, I did my best to do everything in her favor, so that she wouldn't fall into depression or feel lonely after his death. However, as time passed, my children grew older, and my husband and I decided that I should start working because our expenses were growing. I asked Shannon if she could babysit the kids while I worked, but she refused immediately, saying, "You had those kids, so you take care of them. Are you in your right mind to ask your old mother-in-law to babysit 2 kids?" She made it clear that she didn't want to help me out, but I tried to understand her perspective. After all, everyone has their own problems. When I think about those days, when I worked at a factory all day while taking care of 2 children, it brings tears to my eyes. Despite Shannon being unhelpful in that aspect, I still wanted to show my gratitude to her by sending her $1,000 to her bank account every month. Whenever she told me she was sick or in pain, I dropped everything and took her to the hospital and kept her company. But now, when I don't want her to move into our home, she wants to forget everything she did to me, and the things I did for her, and make me look like the bad daughter-in-law. As I was thinking about how to deal with this, I came back home from work one day, only to find Shannon had moved into our home with all her belongings in hand. "Brian, when you finish work, can you come straight back home? Your mom mentioned that you've agreed to let her move into our house. Is that accurate? She's already here."
Well, what was I supposed to say to her? I couldn't refuse her when she's older and in need.
"You should have at least discussed it with me. What am I supposed to do when she just shows up unexpectedly like this?"
Why are you talking that way? It's as if she invaded our home. Is this how you talk about your mother-in-law?
There are only 3 rooms in this house. We use one, and Evie and Jonah use the other 2. Where is she going to sleep?
Then have Jonah and Evie share rooms for now. If they use one room together and have my mom use the other, what's the problem?
How can you make 2 teenage siblings share a room? They're too old for that now.
Then what do you suggest? Let my mom sleep in the living room for tonight.
Are you okay with an elderly person sleeping in the living room? How about we let her sleep in our room for tonight? We can sleep in the living room.
Absolutely not. I can't sleep on that couch. Just tell mom to sleep on the living room couch. I'm busy right now, so stop bothering me. I'll see you later at home. Goodbye.
Brian. Shannon, could you please open this door? I know you're inside the house. Why did you change the locks on the door? I don't believe I need to explain how impolite and unreasonable that is.
I changed the locks to keep you out of the house. Don't you understand?
What are you talking about? Why can't I enter my own house of my own free will?
Whose house are you referring to? This is my son's house that he purchased with his own money. You've been able to live comfortably thanks to my son working hard. And you had the audacity to make your mother-in-law sleep in the living room? I've never heard of such a thing happening. You treated me unfairly, and now you want to return to the house? No, I do not approve of that at all. Leave. Also, I need you to divorce my son. I can't live with someone like you. You treated me poorly, and I won't tolerate it. I have no business dealing with you any longer, so get out of my sight.
I understand you're upset, but this is too much. How can you say something like that? I don't think you're experiencing dementia, so what's going on with you? I've had enough and have been through enough. Besides, my kids are already in high school and middle school. I won't break down and cry when you yell at me anymore. I'm not the same daughter-in-law who used to say, "Yes, ma'am," to you. It's unbelievable that you would act like this. Just because you had to sleep in the living room for one night. It's astonishing. What was I supposed to do? Make you sleep with my husband in our room?
What's wrong with that? Is it strange for a mother to sleep with her son? Is there a law against it? Also, do you think I'm reacting like this because you made me sleep in the living room last night? I've never considered you my daughter-in-law. Not since you married Brian 20 years ago. What have you done for me until now? You've never given me anything more expensive than $200 on my birthday. And for my 60th birthday, you gave me $3,000 and considered it sufficient. Other people go on trips and travel the world because their son and daughter-in-law treat them well. But you've never done anything like that for me. You've never given me anything significant.
I've never gone on such trips in my life either. If you wanted to, shouldn't you have earned the money for it? When Brian and I got married, you were only 45. And as far as I know, you haven't worked a single day since. I've given you $1,000 each month, even though my family is also struggling. Why are you ignoring that?
Everyone does that for their in-laws. Don't act as if you're doing me a huge favor. Anyway, I stand by what I said. I can't live with you anymore, so divorce Brian and leave this house. There can only be one breadwinner in the household. And there can't be more than one woman in the kitchen. There can't be two queens in the castle, so leave this house. I want to enjoy my life with my grandchildren, our bloodline, so depart while you still can.
I don't think I want to do that.
What did you just say?
I'm the one who earned most of the money to move into this house. It's the result of my 16 years of work at the factory. I didn't spend money on unnecessary things. This house is in my name, and I bought it with my own money. How can you ask the owner of the house to leave?
What? Why are you claiming this house is yours? Brian told me it's in his name. I'm sure of it.
Perhaps he wanted to assert himself as the man, and you accepted it without question? I'll repeat it once more, I bought this house with my money. Brian only contributed a small portion.
Now you're outright lying. How could you afford a condo with factory work? My son works for a big company and earns a substantial income. There's no way you made the money, so stop lying and embarrassing yourself.
Your son is all talk and no action. When he gets his paycheck, all he contributes to the family is $500. And he even makes me give you the $1,000 from my paycheck. I must be the only wife in the world who has never seen her husband's paycheck statement. I didn't want to divorce. because I didn't want my kids to grow up without a father. I earned the money to provide for the kids' clothing, food, and school supplies. I saved every penny to buy this house. Do you understand now?
Is that true? Then where did all of Brian's money go?
Why are you asking me? Ask your perfect son where he's been putting all that money. I asked him to contribute just $1,000. But he immediately refused, claiming he had no savings. I don't understand how you raised him. But he has no idea how to save or budget. I want to ask you about that.
That can't be true. Brian is the smartest and most thoughtful person I know.
Many times, I wanted to leave this useless man, but I stayed because of our kids. But now, it's different. I'm ready to get divorced, so if you want me to, I will. I'll agree to divorce him, so please take your son and leave my house.
What did you just say? Is this how you talk to your mother-in-law? Where am I supposed to go, anyway?
I don't care. If you want to live on the streets or find a shelter, go ahead. Once Brian and I divorce, you'll be just an old granny on the streets. I'll call you that. You're selfish and unreasonable. Stop acting as though you have authority over me. Take your belongings and leave. If you don't want to end up in jail and eat bad food, get out of my house now.
Wait, hold on a minute, June. I don't understand what's happening. This is not what I expected. I think there might be a misunderstanding. How can you divorce Brian? You have 2 kids together. Isn't this too hasty? Can't you see how difficult it is for a single woman to raise 2 kids and work? Look at me, I've struggled so much after your father-in-law passed away. Maybe I got carried away wanting to live in a nice condo in a big room. I understand I overstepped, so could you forgive me this time? I'll take my stuff and go back to my house now, so please don't divorce Brian.
No, I don't think so. Brian hasn't been helpful from the beginning, whether he was present or not. The kids are old enough to understand our situation. And I'm sure they'll see my perspective. I'm not afraid. I'll return your son to you, so enjoy your life with him. After all that transpired, I divorced Brian and even gained custody of both my kids. Brian resisted the divorce and tried to remain in the house. But I urged him to stop embarrassing our children. Evie and Jonah confronted him, telling him he should let me go since he had already put me through a tough time. It appeared he surrendered upon hearing his own children's disappointment, and proceeded to file for a divorce himself. He moved back in with Shannon. But not even a month later, I received a call from her, saying he was only giving her $300 a month to live on. He was using the rest of the money for his own purposes. And who knows what he's doing with it. She grew tired of him quickly and asked me to remarry him and take him back. However, I firmly declined the offer. I mean, who would want to take in a man even his own mother doesn't want to live with? Regardless, now that I've rid myself of the 2 most stressful aspects of my life, I'm enjoying the newfound freedom. I lead a peaceful and ordinary life with my 2 kids, working hard as always.